All right, okay. Make sure we're positioned correctly. It has been a while. Ah, damn. Yeah, sorry about that. It's been a minute. But I had to come back, guys, so we could talk about Barbarian real quick. I'm actually back for good this time. I was trying to get some stuff together, but we'll get into all of that stuff soon enough. Right now, we got to talk about Barbarian. Barbarian, directed by Cregger, who's actually been way more active when it comes to acting in TV shows versus directing movies. Although he has directed a few movies, they just never really went anywhere, and they never were really anything to write home about, until now that is. Before we dive into this review, here's the synopsis. So the movie stars Bill Skarsgård and Justin Long, and the film follows a woman named Tess, played by Georgina Campbell, who rents out an Airbnb, and when she arrives, she realizes that something isn't right about the house. So at this point, I'm pretty sure that it's safe to say that 2022 has been a solid year for horror films so far. I mean, we've had Scream, we've had X, we've had Nope, we've had Men, we've had Fresh. I mean, there's a shit ton more, guys. I'm aware. I can't name them all, but it's been a solid year so far. And now we have Barbarian. I mean, we still have Pearl to look forward to, but right now we have Barbarian. A film that's been one of my most highly anticipated movies ever since it was announced. And I really enjoyed myself, like seriously. So listen, Barbarian starts off very calm. I mean, we're introduced to Tess, who's renting out this Airbnb because she's in town for an interview. When she arrives, she finds out that this Airbnb is already occupied by Keith, played by Bill Skarsgård. From here, things get a little awkward, slightly romantic, and overall just very weird and creepy. I'm really not gonna get much deeper into detail beyond this point, simply because I really don't want to spoil it for you guys. Shit, some people might already feel like I've spoiled it by saying what I just said, although that part is a part of the trailers, so whatever. But the biggest thing I loved about this movie was how unpredictable the story was and how unpredictable the characters were. We get to see mostly all of these characters fairly civilized, but we also get to see them in a state of panic once their whole entire fucking ceiling caves in. Not literally, just mentally, and the situation surrounding them once everything goes to shit. And as the movie progresses and becomes more intense, the character decisions become more surprising. But at the same time, their decisions are also very understandable, although the majority of viewers may not like those decisions, because there are some pretty fucked up situations that occur throughout this movie. I just gotta keep it real with you guys. But you know, another thing I really loved about this movie was actually Cregger's writing and direction, because you can tell he probably had a lot of fun playing around with just different dumb horror movie tropes throughout this film that we usually tend to hate a lot as viewers. Like, you guys know what I mean, like that one dumb bitch that always has to trip when she's running away from a killer, or that one dumbass guy that always has to go check out a weird noise in the woods simply because he's curious, but besides that he really has no damn business walking over there to see what that sound is. Like, these characters normally turn out to be just clumsy idiots that we get fed up with, and by the end of the film we actually want these crazy dumb clumsy assholes to all die. I mean, it's the truth. But with Barbarian, Cregger actually does a pretty good job at making the audience think that the characters are going to make a dumb decision. I'm actually happy to report back to you guys that the characters don't really make any dumb decisions, honestly. They're faced with some difficult dilemmas, yes, but usually the hard decisions that they're faced with are very understandable logically. Like in this movie, the decisions that seem pretty ridiculous or crazy or stupid, they are really justified depending on the type of person, and it's not really based off their intelligence. It's more of like a moral decision. It's like, do you do the right thing that also actually might be a dumb thing, or do you do the cowardly thing that also might be the more survival decision? Like, I'll give you guys a good example right now that's actually not really a spoiler, and it's actually an example that was included in the trailers for the movie. But if you guys want to skip this part, I get it. I'll probably add in like a, I don't know, like a time tag or something so you guys can skip this part. But it's really not a spoiler, guys. I promise, honestly. So when Tess, the main character, first arrives at the Airbnb and she finds out that it's already occupied by Keith, she's faced with a weird dilemma. She can either wait outside in the dark in a sketchy neighborhood until she is able to contact someone to get her staying arrangements sorted out, or she can get things sorted out on the inside away from the rain in the dark, sketchy neighborhood street with Keith. who's a complete fucking stranger. Now, you guys who are hearing this might want to introduce other possibilities, you know, other hypotheticals. Just because, you know, you haven't seen the film yet, and once you see it, you might want to introduce other things that she could have done. Like, what if she did this, or maybe she could have done that? But there's other elements at play that you guys aren't aware of yet if you haven't seen the film. So these are the options that she has in her current situation. And the things that make this decision so difficult for her is that she can either get robbed and killed out in the street because, you know, she's in a sketchy neighborhood in the middle of the night, or she can get raped and killed by Keith if she decides to go inside simply because he's a stranger and she doesn't really know the situation. There's a lot of bad possible outcomes here, and the film actually introduces several interesting dilemmas like this that become more difficult as the movie progresses. And I really love that about this movie, so pay attention to that when you go to see it, because these characters are put into these very high stress situations and they end up making some crazy decisions, and it's actually quite realistic. People would make these type of decisions, for real. It's fucked up, but people would definitely do these kind of things. And another reason why I was pretty sure that I would enjoy this movie is because Justin Long is in it. I just knew it was going to be a unique horror movie because Justin Long is always in a unique horror movie. It's always something different, whether it's Drag Me to Hell or Jeepers Creepers or Tusk. These are all horror movies that just aren't quite like anything else that's out there, and Barbarian really is just another one you can add to that list. Also, before I wrap this up, there's something I wanted to clarify that I said in my straight out of theater reaction, and that's the fact that I said that this is a funny movie, which is true. This is a funny movie, but it's not a funny movie in the way you might think. The comedy is mostly unintentional. I mean, honestly, I would only say that there's probably a handful of moments where the movie is actually setting up a joke for the audience and there's a punchline. The rest of the funny moments in this movie are just sadistic horror moments that unfold in a funny way, and viewers with a dark sense of humor are gonna find sarcasm in those moments. It's not really like a situation that's supposed to be funny. It's just something that happens in a messed up way, and if you have a dark sense of humor, you're gonna find it to be humorous. Like in my theater, when I was watching it with press, most of the audience wasn't really laughing during the moments me and maybe 3 or 4 or 5 other people were laughing. The majority of the audience consisted of maybe about 20 press folks, and, you know, 5 of us was giggling, you know, chuckling during some of these parts. So yeah, it's funny in certain moments where it's unintentional, and there's definitely punchlines and jokes throughout the movie that are very funny, that are intentional jokes. But the rest of the funny moments in this movie are just sadistic horror moments that unfold in a funny way, where viewers with a dark sense of humor will just certainly find sarcasm. They may have not been intentionally, you know, a comedic punchline attached to the scene. It was just something that was really fucked up that happened in a messed up way, and, you know, some people actually thought it was funny. It was really situations like that, and there's kind of a lot of those. I really enjoyed myself, honestly, but I'm giving Barbarian an 8.5 out of 10. This was just a solid horror movie with a lot of strong character moments and story development. The comedy was on point and it was used strategically. The kills were gruesome, but the situation surrounding all of this madness was just much more horrific and captivating. I mean, there's some great scares in this movie. It's nuts. I would say that the horror elements don't even really rely on how gruesome the movie is. It's just got that pure scare factor to it. And like I said, we haven't quite seen one of these in a minute that can stand alone without, you know, a whole lot of gruesome moments to begin with. It just relies on the scare, if that makes sense. It'll make a lot more sense once you guys see the film. Also, the visual storytelling in this movie was very strong as well. You know, the only thing that I wish that would have been a little better was the reveal of what the main threat is. But that's really just a very small thing that I could point out that really didn't bother me that much. It's just something that we've seen before. But like I said in my straight out of theater reaction, they actually executed this in a very unique way that's never been done quite like this before. So it's something that I can certainly forgive without an issue. But Barbarian releases this Friday, guys, only in theaters, so go check it out. Come back to this video, let me know what you thought about it. Let's chop it up. We can have some good convos. I really want to hear what people have to say about this film, especially my viewers, for sure. Also, guys, my apologies for being away for so long. There's a big announcement that I've been working on. I've been trying to get it together before I return, but it's still not quite right just yet. I'll get into it more in depth later once it's more ready, and I'll let you guys know exactly what I've been working on and how it's gonna work in conjunction with my channel. But it is definitely nice to be back. So there you guys have it, and if you enjoyed the content, you know exactly what to do. Thank you for watching.